Y'all, it's your boy Easy, and on today's episode of Easy Opens, we're going to be taking a look at the Jazwares Pokemon Select Flygon figure. Flygon first appeared in Pokemon Generation 3, which happened around 2002-2003, with the main games being Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. They are a dual-type ground dragon Pokemon, and their evolution line is Trapinch, Vibrava to Flygon. Its wings can kick up sandstorms to hide things such as Crocodile, who apparently both team up while hunting for food, which is interesting. Its wings also make a singing sound when they are flapped, thus getting them the name the Desert Spirit. This can often work like a siren song, with people following the sound and finding themselves lost in the desert. So this figure comes in the standard box set for the Pokemon Select line, and it's very nice. But we're not here to talk about that. Let's go ahead and get this figure free from its plastic prison and see what we think about Flygon. So fresh out the box, this thing looks fantastic. Jazwares is just killing it with this line, and I'm very happy that they are giving us this line of figures for characters that should be slightly bigger than what they're giving us in their other lines. And this one is no exception with how cool and awesome it looks and feels just fresh out the box. The paint looks amazing. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's just sculpted in this colored plastic, but still the colors are vibrant and they pop and go so well with one another. Now, granted, that's part of the design of the character, but I think that Jazwares is doing a great job taking these characters, from the screen to our shelves kind of thing. And yeah, this figure looks amazing. I absolutely love the translucent eyes. It just adds so much life to the character and gives it just an extra level of coolness that I really appreciate. Oh, wow. I just realized that they actually have a smile going on. You can't really see it if it's under light, but if the head gets cocked back, and the light catches it, you can see there's a little sculpted nose and mouth that is smiling, and that is super cute, and I love that, and I'm totally here for this. The wings look really cool. The size of it looks and feels great. It's got a decent amount of heft. It's still pretty light, but there's enough there that makes it to where it doesn't feel cheap. And yeah, I'm really digging this figure. The thing that I wasn't expecting on this was the articulated fingers, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, but that's really cool. And I'm not normally a fan of articulated fingers because it's hard to get them done right, because it just makes a character look weird, especially like if it's a Spider-Man figure or a Ninja Turtles figure. I don't know. They just don't work right, in my opinion. But here, these look fine. So we'll see if my opinion of this changes throughout the review. But fresh out the box, I'm pretty happy with it. So as far as accessories go, this line of Pokemon figures typically comes with a flight stand or just a figure stand, if you will. They're really good, especially with the flying characters. I think it's really cool. And this one works really well with Flygon. So big fan of that. All right, now let's take a look at the articulation you're going to get out of Flygon. So starting at the head, he's got a good range of motion in the head, except he can't do 360 at the neck. It's kind of impeded even up at the top and at the neck where his neck meets the torso. It can't turn, at least mine can't. But he can look up a really good distance, especially combined with the little bit extra you get out of the neck. And he can look down quite a bit as well with those two combined. Then moving on to the wings, you get some flapping motion. That's about it. Not a lot going on there. Then moving on to the arms, he's got a ton of articulation. He's got effectively a shoulder joint, then a elbow joint there, and then he's got a 360 wrist as well as a joint. And then he's got joints in his fingers, in his individual fingers, which I'm usually not a fan of that, but considering they're so like thick and tiny, they work. But like on a Spider-Man or a Ninja Turtle, like they just don't work for me. But here, I kind of like it. And mine are really stiff, so I'm probably not going to use them that much. But still, it's nice to have, and I think they're pretty well done. Moving on to the legs, you get some motion at the thigh. Not a whole lot, just kind of like a swivel motion. And then you get a swivel motion down at the ankle. And there is a joint there to go back and forward with his foot. And so there's that. And then Moving on to the tail, you have a jointed tail, or a segmented tail is what I meant to say. And he's got some wiggle room from the where it meets the body to the tail, and then here as well as here. And then this last little two bits are they can twist, and they've also got as much room, wiggle room, if not more, than the rest of the tail. But also the little bit, the last bit of his tail can swivel a little bit. Well, a lot of it, actually. And so, yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, that is all the articulation you're going to get out of Flygon. All right, so according to Bulbapedia, Flygon stands at 6'7" and weighs around 180 pounds. This figure stands at just around 5.5 inches tall, and then from nose to tail, he's around 10 inches long, and then has a wingspan of 7 3/4 of an inch, and then this figure weighs almost 5 ounces. So now let's see how it compares to some other figures you might have in your collection. Here they are with Jada Toys Mega Man and Storm Collectibles Sub-Zero. Here they are with Jada Toys Cammy and Hasbro's Fortnite Mancake. Here they are with NECA's Return to New York 4-pack Raphael and the NECA knockoff colored bandana Mirage Comics Michelangelo. Here they are with NECA's Alf and Marvel Legends Wolverine. Here they are with the Bandai model kit Gardevoir and SH Figuarts Ash. Here they are with SH Figuarts Jesse and James. Here they are with Figma's Marnie and Gloria. Here they are with the McFarlane's DC Multiverse King Shark and Marvel Select's Rhino. Here they are with Jazwares Pokemon Select Typhlosion and Greninja. Here they are with the Snorlax Piggy Bank and SH Figuarts Venusaur. Here they are with an assortment of smaller Pokemon from Jazwares. Here they are with an assortment of slightly larger Pokemon from Jazwares. And here they are with the smaller version of Flygon from Jazwares. So I don't remember when I first discovered an appreciation for Flygon, but they have quickly become a solid favorite Pokemon for me. I think it might be the eyes, maybe because it reminds me of Kamen Rider a little bit, but either way, I just find the design to be really cool, and Jazwares did a fantastic job here bringing this figure to life in plastic form. Now, as I just mentioned, I think the design is really cool, and that really helps whenever you're a toy company and you're making toys based on really cool figures. So that kind of helps you to, it's half the battle, I guess you could say. And so, yeah, but they accentuated a lot of the things that you wouldn't think, you would just think that's, no, it's just based on the design. But like, there's some subtlety here in this figure that I wanted to talk about real quick. So one of the things that I noticed that has to do with the level of thickness of the plastic in the wings is that the red outline of the wings is kind of thinner when it comes to the density of the plastic, and therefore it allows light to pass through it. So it's not translucent, but there's probably another term for it that I can't think of right now, but you can see a little bit of light through it. So maybe it is translucent, but not like the way that we would normally say that, you know, something is clear, if you will. It's just that light can pass through it a little bit. So if the light source is behind the figure, there will be a little bit of illumination going on the outside of the wings and through the actual clear lenses of the eyes, which is really awesome and looks really cool, but also kind of intimidating if you put it like up to the light source and it's like looking down on you. I could get why this Pokemon might be a little bit intimidating if it was coming straight at you, which most Pokemon really are, but you know, whatever. This is just a really cool look that I was not expecting. I was thinking that, you know, the design already looks cool, but this is something that the toy can do that like you might not be able to see in the game, or you might not be able to see like on a card or whatever. And yeah, I just found that to be really neat doing this review, that I was like, oh, the wings look a little like highlighted almost. And yeah, I just found that to be really awesome and made me really appreciate this figure a lot more. Now, the tail part that is also very much like the wings. It's made of a much more solid plastic, so it does not have that kind of highlighted look to it when the light hits it. But it still looks nice, just like the rest of this figure. It looks like on par with the game model. And then the other thing that I think I've mentioned earlier, but that I grew to appreciate a lot more and surprised me, was the articulated fingers, the joints in the fingers, and just the overall articulation on this figure is really impressive, because I am generally one that does not like articulated fingers, mostly because Playmate's TMNT Classics figures, they had them and they were atrocious. It's a great idea, but just, you got to do it right, or else it just feels and looks weird, and I'm just not a fan. But here, I mean, granted, it is just a little bit of, you could turn it and you can bend it. It's not much, but like, it's cool, and it just gives you like just a little bit extra level of adjustments that you can do to kind of add some more subtlety to like what you're trying to do with your photographs or your poses or whatever you're doing with this figure. And that's just really cool, and I was really impressed with that. Also, the articulation on this figure, like for, the arms being as thin as what they are and everything, like they did a really good job here, and I am just very happy with this and had a lot of fun posing it and moving it around. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about is that they do have the, which I think I showed in the comparison videos, they do have a smaller version of Flygon, which makes sense because Pokemon have different sizes depending on, just a variety of reasons. But they did release a smaller version of this character, and for the most part, it looks like the same sculpt, with the exception of the articulation being much more limited. But it looks like the basic mold of this figure is essentially the same. So if you can't really afford or can't find the bigger one, then you could use this as possibly, but it is decidedly much smaller. But speaking to this, the main thing I wanted to see that surprised me again, that I mentioned earlier in this review, was the smile on this figure that they sculpted in. It's just a little line that they carved in, and it's really neat. It belays the menacingness of what I was talking about earlier, where if you have the light source behind the figure and it's illuminating the wings and the eyes, that it looks kind of terrifying. But then you see its little cute smile on its face, and you're like, oh, okay, it's going to be a good time. This is a really cute dragon that's coming to talk to me or play with me or eat me or whatever. I don't know. But one way or the other, they're happy. So I don't know. Smiles are infectious sometimes. So yeah, I don't know. And it makes me happy. So I was curious if it was going to be the same with the smaller figure. And it is indeed. They also have the little carved out smile on its face. And I absolutely love that. And this figure goes great with other Pokemon that you might have in your collection, like just other figures from Jazwares, but especially from Figma and SH Figuarts. They work really well with the trainers and Ash and Team Rocket and stuff like that. So yeah, they're really cool, and they go really well with the other figures in this line, in the select larger scale line. Yeah, they work really well there. And yeah, I'm just really happy with this, and I don't have any complaints about it as far as a figure. Now, as far as this line, it would be neat to get a little bit of an effect piece here and there, but I get that that's just a minor nitpick, wishful thinking kind of thing. But as far as what we have here, this is a solid figure. And so, yeah, I'm a big fan of this. And yeah, so if you're a Pokemon action figure collector, chances are you're going to dig this figure because it's got articulation. The sculpt looks great. It plays great, and it goes well with the other figures. So like, you really can't ask for much more than what this figure's given you. And yeah, so I don't think you'll be disappointed there. If you collect action figures that have lenses over their eyes, like Booster Gold, and that's the only one I can think of right now as I'm doing this. But if you just have an action figure shelf dedicated to that, where it's just Booster Gold and Flygon, I mean, like, that'd be really awesome. And I think they'd be friends, sure. Or if you collect action figures that look mean and super serious, but actually just have a little smile hidden under their mean face, that when you turn their head up, just totally changes the dynamic of the figure, then I think you will totally be happy with this Flygon figure from Jazwares. All right, so that's going to do it for me today. Thanks so much for watching. And if you liked what you saw, hit the like button. If you want to see more from me, hit subscribe and let me know in the comments, what's your favorite Pokemon? Do you like Flygon? Do you like Flygon smiling, or do you think that he should be frowning? Who knows? I mean, maybe there's people out there that like that. Well, either way, let me know in the comments. And until then, else time.